We can start.
Shall we wait for another 1 minute or shall we start? All right. Good morning, everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's webinar, Preparing for Qatar Central Bank's AI Guideline, AI Governance, Risk and Regulatory Readiness for Financial Institutions. Thank you for joining us today. We appreciate you taking out time to be here, and we're excited to have you with us. As many of you know, artificial intelligence is rapidly transforming the financial services industry. While it brings tremendous opportunities for innovation and growth, it also introduces new challenges around governance, security, risk management, and regulatory compliance. With the introduction of Qatar Central Bank's AI guideline, the focus is no longer on adopting AI. It's about ensuring AI is implemented responsibly, governed effectively, and aligned with evolving regulatory expectations. That is exactly what we'll be discussing today. Over the next 1 hour, our experts will walk you through the key aspects of QCB's AI guideline, highlight the governance and security considerations financial institutions should be aware of, and share practical steps you can take to strengthen regulatory readiness while continuing to innovate with confidence. Before we get started, I'd like to briefly introduce SISA as well as myself and the work we do to help organizations strengthen cybersecurity, AI governance, compliance, and digital trust. I myself is Himanshu Chauhan, and I am the regional leader and account manager for Qatar. Now, talking about SISA, SISA is a forensics-driven global cybersecurity company and has been serving industry for almost 2 decades. Over the past 20 years, we have served more than 2,000 plus customers. We do 1,000 plus engagements each year and help secure organizations with a strong team of 500 plus security professionals, including 150 plus threat hunters and incident responders. Our commitment to protect our customers and stay ahead of attackers has gained, SISA trust of customers from 40 plus countries. SISA has been contributing to global standards by being a regular member of organizations and committees like PCI Council's GEAR Committee, which stands for Governance Global Executive Assessors Roundtable. We're glad to inform that SISA is also an NCSA empaneled organization in Qatar. We work very closely with payment brands like Visa, MasterCard, Amex, Discover. We are also CREST accredited organizations from a security testing point of view. We work very closely with regional banks and regulators, and to ensure that whatever guidelines they communicate has been effectively communicated, and whatever is the inference of those guidelines and how to implement those guidelines. On a global map, SISA is present in 14 plus locations. We are a registered entity in Qatar as well. Now, talking about SISAs, how we help our customers, we have divided the entire, cybersecurity service portfolio into 3 main pillars. The first one is SISA 1, which constitutes of a unified platform for compliance, security, and privacy, under which we have, a separate proprietary solutions, starting with ProAct, which is an agentic SOC, comes with an MXDR platform to help you monitor and secure organization with just one platform, with AI powered cyber defense, source solution, FIM capability, as well as a manual or human touch through cybersecurity and SOAR. Mr. Dr. Anjan, can you go back to the previous one? Then we have Pulse, which is a continuous compliance platform. We have another solution, Radar, which is for data discovery and classification, and AI PRISM, which is an AI security and governance platform. Now with that, I'll like to introduce our speakers. Our first speaker for today is Dr. Anjan Krishnamurthy, Associate Director and Head of AI PRISM at SISA. Dr. Anjan leads CISA's AI security and governance initiatives and has extensive experience helping organizations build secure, responsible, and compliant AI programs. His expertise includes AI governance, AI trust, risk and security management, popularly known as AI PRISM, and helping organizations prepare for evolving regulatory requirements. Joining him today is Mr. Renju Varghese. Many of you might already be aware, or be knowing him. He's Vice President leading tech security at CISA. Renju brings deep expertise in cybersecurity, payment security, technology risk, and has worked closely with financial institutions to strengthen their cybersecurity posture and navigate an increasingly complex regulatory. Before we begin, just a quick reminder, you can submit your questions at any time using the Q&A or chat feature. We'll do our best to address as many of them as possible during the Q&A session at the end of today's discussion. With that, I'll like to invite and hand over the session to Dr. Anjan to get us started. Dr. Anjan, welcome and
Thank you, Mansoor. Thanks for the introduction. Let's get into the point of what we are trying to do for today's session. It's very important that globally there are multiple different regulatory landscape which are dealing with AI, and QCB's AI guidelines has been something which has been introduced 2024, and the main focal point of today's webinar will be the core of the entire AI principles and the guidelines, which is being brought out by the QCB, and how organizations can orient themselves in implementing the QCB guidelines, although there are a lot of challenges and roadblocks, and how do you basically operationalize a particular guidelines. So every AI principles or guidelines gets into a supervisory mode and then slowly gets into a mandatory mode. So QCB may also mandate certain provisions of this entire AI guidelines, which the licensed financial institutions may have to comply with. With that, let's begin with what we are trying to do for today's webinar. It's very important that AI in any financial services or AI in any kind of domain can be of three types. It can exist as three phases. One as a ML entity, which are models which are trained with data that are specifically being tuned to do a particular task, maybe to detect anomalies, credit scoring determination, fraud analysis, churn prediction, image analysis, image identification, etc., and so on. So this is a standalone ML models which they are capable of looking at, and that industry has been using it for a very long time. But ever since the large language models came into picture, the general purpose model has already been used in multiple scenarios of generating, summarizing, and we do it day in and day out today. And there are multiple co-pilots, chatbots, document analyzers. There are multiple use case. You name it, you have a use case for it. What's very exciting today is the era of agentic systems, where we look into autonomous and a goal-driven, self-acting kind of agents, which can call tools, APIs, multiple different backbone toolkits, connecting networks with MCPs, so which are with the same process, but in an independent and a kind of oriented towards a non-human intelligence systems. So with this setting vocabulary, it becomes very important to understand what kind of AI systems are we targeting and are we looking at under the purview of the QCB guidelines. So with this, the entire important aspect, what we look at is the different layers of distribution of AI across, which are user plus AI, where you can see public LLMs being used, agents plus MCPs, which are goal-driven, which are with specific set of tasks to personnel and have embedded agents, applications plus LLM, which are for answering and acting. Then you have ARC systems, which are ML with continuous automations and running across with multiple scoring. So you see multiple different ways in which AI use cases are evolving over in multiple different layers as what we speak today. Very important to understand is that the level of risks and the deployment of these proximities are different and naive in many cases. So the level of deployment depends on the level of autonomy of what AI is basically being instituted, and how does that basically drive the entire risk factors with respect to it. So the entire proximity to your data, the ability to take actions and reach to your enterprise define the risk levels. So something which is self-autonomous is something are on high and critical risk markers, rather than what you see on a native and a very self-driven, user-driven AI systems. So the entire risk factors gets manifold as and when the autonomy of the AI systems gets increased. It's also important that the AI systems are categorically looked at in the deployment proximity in four different aspects. One as informational, just retrieving of the fact and providing something related to it, something like a HR chatbot trying to give you the HR policies and other aspects of it. There are AI systems which are used for decision support systems, which are used for analyzing certain facts to make a better decision over the analytic summary. There are actions where human in the loop may be required. For example, there are loan processing agents, but would require a final human in the loop to verify the content and then approve the entire loan applications. And there may be several similar use cases as well. And also the autonomous actions, where AI decides and executes with no human gate in between. For example, maybe a driverless car, what you see as Waymo in SFOs. So the key gap here is where you recommend and execute. Recommend is something different from what you do from the execute, and that's where the regulators are taking very, very important care of to ensure that there are responsible AI construct brought in for it. It's important to look at there are multiple severity of entire engines with the different types of use cases, what is basically being brought in. You may have multiple tires escalating the baseline. For example, let's say that you have a chatbot which books an appointment. It may be a medium risk, but the same chatbot approves your refund, then the decision of doing the reimbursement comes under the high risk factor. So it's very important to have the clarity of what is basically being looked at and what is the authority in which the entire AI agents are basically trying to work with. So every business criticality is something which is very important, and there are irreversible financial transactions which may happen in due course of time with respect to this, where there is no proper escalation and proper intervention of a human in between in this cases as well. With this, it's very important to start and understand what QCB AI guidelines talks about and who does it basically apply. So QCB AI guidelines applies to all the licensed financial entities in Qatar, including the banks, insurers, payment firms, fintechs who have developed or deployed AI in their environment. What does it basically set? It basically sets the ethical and secured use of AI with a very crystal clear guidelines of how AI has to be basically used, and how should a high risk AI system be treated, and what are the required compliances with it. Let's get insight and understand it better. The entire foundational step starts with the fact that you need to discover your AI estate. You need to understand what is there in your source code repositories, what is there in your production servers, how are the endpoints connected, where is it being deployed, who are the third party in it. It's completely running the entire AI discovery tool to across the code and the runtime to understand something called as AI bill of materials, the complete AI assets, ML assets, the entire software assets which are associated with your entire system, which brings in a clarity of what is basically being used in your AI system. With that visibility, it becomes very important to understand and expand your thought process and how and what are you basically trying to explore and record as per the formats which are basically required. So OASP basically recommends Cyclone DX format for the embalm. And the AI registry is the single truth which talks about every obligations that depend on where your governance journey starts with. You can't govern something which you cannot see. And that's exactly the reason why you need to have this complete visibility of it. With this, the very first and important strategy which the Qatar central bank governance talks about is the corporate governance and AI strategies in the part B of the document, which very clearly illustrates how the guideline should be accountable for senior managements on the model outcomes, selections, and deployments. What should be the entity's strategy on it? How frequently should it be periodically be reviewed? Who will be overseeing this entire process? Where is the accountability for it? What are the approved and exposures which are basically there in the entire environment? So the way in which you operationalize it is with the starting point of AI registry, and then further going with the estate maps that actually shows what is actually running in your AI systems. And each AI asset is accountable, and it should be visible at the senior management level. The fold of AI risks into the enterprise risk is something which is very important, a framework that is duly defined with the framework of the audit risk and the IT factor of it. Because the important pain point, what you look at it is your inventory is not in the greater depth where you don't have the visibility of the AI systems or the ML systems which are working across your entire enterprise. That becomes very important in this. Moving further on to it is the case of how AI system registry and the QCB approvals have to be looked at. Every AI arrangement in a AI setup should look at an updated set of AI registry where AI systems management are basically being looked at. So it's very important that you generate the entire inventory list of all your AI assets, ML assets, SBOM assets, which are available in your environment, and obtain official approval with respect to it, which are the providers, maybe your own set of providers or being provided from someone else or some other places, where every high risk AI applications, the entire applications need to go through a QCB approval for signing for it, including of the sandboxed environment and whatever that needs to be granted out of it. So capturing the provider, outsourcer, the contract dates, the substantial details are basically important to maintain the entire approval workflow and the audit trail, which is required to be leading to a high risk AI application. So the entire fact, what is basically being looked at is the visibility at the first step to look at the entire AI assets and how AI assets are basically looked at. Because today in the entire AI supply chain, it becomes very important to have the visibility of the AI assets and what your data lineage is all about, the application libraries and the model which are basically incorporated in it, because there are several segments of vulnerability which basically seeps in through your supply chain vulnerability itself. This is a very important step to have the overall system register and the visual ability to have a look at the entire inventory of the entire AI applications. So this is something which is very important to be provided as a documentary evidence across for any audit to seek approval and have the governance set up for the next case. So with this, I'm handing over to my co-presenter today, Renju.
Sure. Thanks, Anjan. So, in the part B of the uh, central bank guidelines, it identifies risk classification and high risk system. What it does, what the guideline says. The guideline says that you need to conduct risk assessment to classify and manage your AI systems by the impact part of it, right? And in case if that particular AI system is a high risk AI system, then you need to take necessary approval from QCB before you can deploy that particular model in your environment. You need to ensure that you test the models so that the model doesn't have a false causal relationship with your data sets. And for any decision made by the models, there should be no bias, which means that none of the individuals or groups should not be systematically in disadvantage by these AI decisions being made, right? Which is a part B of the uh, guidelines which has been mentioned. So how do you go about implementing it, right? Like Anjan mentioned, the first step is to discover your AI systems. Once you've discovered, you have to conduct a risk assessment, basically on the impact, right? So when you do the risk assessment, you have to consider two aspects. One is your deployment proximity, which means what all data does that AI system have access to? Does it have access to your customer data set? Or does it have access to live production data set? So that is the deployment proximity which is mentioned. The other one is output autonomy, right? What is the decision taken by the AI system? Is the AI system is just giving an info aspect, right? Say, for example, we are putting to the HR system and asking that what is the holiday list for this particular year? It's just giving only an info part, right? Then the risk is much low. But is it giving a decision for an human to act upon it? For example, in our agentic SOC, the first workflow that we have a human in the loop where our agentic SOC is giving a decision saying that, okay, there is this particular attack happening, and this is the recommendation to mitigate that particular incident, right? So there's a decision for a human to be taken. So that in that case, if that's the output, the risk gets increased. The third one, if your AI system or an agent is acting by itself, okay, is taking the decision by itself and implementing the decision, then it becomes by default a very high risk system. Now, as per the guidelines, whatever be the decision taken by the AI agent, right? It can be a symbol like what we deployed in our SISA, just defining the rooster system for our agentic SOC monitoring team. Just basic roostering system, right? But as per the guidelines by the Qatar Central Bank, any autonomous decision by default will be classified under high risk, irrespective of what that particular decision can be, right? And plus the security multipliers you calculate and you define your high risk AI system. So what this guideline says that for every high risk AI systems, you need to get approval from QCB before it goes live. Then tag each register entry, which is basically your AI register entry with what is the risk tier it comes under and what is the control part. And most importantly, for each of our AI systems, which is taking a decision, and if the decision has anything to do with a individual, then you need to test that particular system for bias and fairness testing. Please note that for bias and fairness testing, it's not necessary that you need to test all your AI systems. Only those AI systems which is taking a decision on an individual, you need to do this particular bias and fairness testing. Sure. There is definitely a set of questions, but as the process requires you to just use the Q&A option and enter the questions. And once the webinar has been done, we'll answer all your queries. Right? Yeah. So coming back, so what is the pain point which the organization face is that you cannot identify those AI systems unless you have a complete inventory of AI register, right? So the first foundational step for implementing not only Qatar Central Bank guidelines, but any other guidelines or ISO 42001 or NIST RMF or say the new RBI guidelines or the new CB UAE guidelines is to ensure that you do a proper discovery exercise to identify all your AI systems, all your AI agents across your organization. And that can be in your application code, it can be in your third-party code, it can be in your user laptops, or it can be in production agents part. So that's your initial or the foundational steps to be taken. Then comes, comes the part C and part E of the standard, which requires that there has to be a human oversight and a customer transparency covered. We combined these sessions so that we can have it in the 1 hour webinar. Both human oversight and customer transparency goes little pointers, but we're just covering those high-level pointers here. So what the guideline states? The guideline states that you need to have a human oversight protocol scaled to each system's risk. In other terms, what it states that if that particular decision is taken by an AI system, and that decision is an autonomous decision, and it can be lead to high risk, then you cannot have an autonomous AI agent taking the decision. You need to ensure that there is a human in the loop for taking that particular final approval. Just to give an example of our agentic SOC. Even though our agentic SOC have the capability of remediating by itself or taking the remediation action by itself, if you're going to deploy it in any Qatar regulated environment, then that final decision has to be taken by a human in the loop. The AI systems can decide, saying that, okay, or recommend this is the approved next actions, but that approval has to be a human in the loop, which is required as per the guideline. So if you have a AI system for approving a credit card or approving a loan, etc., then you need a human in the loop for taking that particular final decision, and you cannot have the agent do it from end to end. The next one is that if you have an AI chatbot, or if your customers is interacting with any AI systems that you have deployed, then you need to have a disclaimer stating that that the customer or the users are interacting with an AI system, which is basically has come from the EU AI Act, where it clearly defines that your applications, which has an AI systems, has to notify all your customers and users saying that you are interacting with an AI system part. And continuing to that, you need to disclose your AI involvement in decision making, which might impact the customer. So, which means that if you have an AI system for taking a decision on a loan or for a credit card approval and other aspects, then you need to inform the clients or the end customer, stating that there is an AI system which is going to be involved in the final decision process. And the last is obtain the customer consent to accept the AI related risk before providing the final service. So if you see the underlying terms, it's basically informing the end customers that, hey, you are interacting with an AI system and that the systems can hallucinate or can go wrong, and provide a option to your end customer saying that if they won't require, they can opt out of the system, of that entire AI system aspect. So how to operationalize it is definitely use the AI estate to flag which AI systems is making a customer facing or a decision system part of it. Ensure that you have the oversight in place, a human oversight in place, and for all your AI systems, ensure that there is a disclosure or a consent consent flow incorporated within your high impact decision parts, the high risk path. Right? Yeah. So moving ahead is part D, which covers the AI lifecycle and model documentation. What it states is every regulated entities needs to ensure that they maintain a documentation of the AI model design, who is the provider, who is the user, what is the model being trained upon, where is the model is from, who developed that particular model. That complete details of the model needs to be documented. Second, the data collection, quality checks, and other aspects. So any data collection aspect, it comes in when you're going to use your AI systems or ML models aspect, right? Because if you have a machine learning models, then definitely you could have used your uh, internal data, internal training data for your find or developing that model or training that particular ML models. So in that case, we need to ensure that the data collection process for training that particular models goes through a proper process. There's a quality in check and all the details incorporated. Then definitely once you design your architect your AI systems, you need to capture the reasons and justifications for the model design and development choice on why did we choose this particular model, why did we choose this particular AI system, and definitely have the human oversight as per plan. How to implement? The easiest way is basically to do a AI estate discover and ensure that you are able to do a AI bomb, which is AI bill of material, and ML bill of material capture. So AI bill of material and ML bill of material is a similar concept with the software bill of material, where we can capture all the details related to the models, what dataset is being used, how the model is, from where the model is, and all the details necessary information which is required by the guidelines aspect. So the guidelines doesn't cover that the in-depth information which is required to be captured in the bomb, but we expect that it to be linked to your OWASP. Now, OWASP has your AI bomb and ML bomb project, where it identifies that these are the minimum set of information that you need to be captured as part of your for all your AI systems and ML systems part. Now comes to the second aspect, right? On the human oversight and the reasoning aspect, justification aspect. So here it is very important to ensure that you are able to capture, you have to deploy an AI observability solution which can capture your input, reasoning, and output tokens of your AI systems. Why? Because from these particular capture of your tokens, you are able to identify if your AI systems has drifted from its initial requirement. Thereby, you can able to identify if your AI system has drifted from your initial justifications and reasoning aspect. So even if you have done a proper testing of your AI systems and have a proper use case defined and tested, when it goes into production, by this structure or by the design of these AI systems, over a period of time, these AI systems will hallucinate, will drift away from its intended use case. It's the behavior of the AI systems right now. So you need to have a drift monitoring mechanism to identify that, hey, whether your AI systems has drifted from your initial thought design, model design, and development choice part of it, right? Or drifted from the original objective, which it was expected to demonstrate. So that's the other aspect. Now, moving to the part D, which talks about your data governance, privacy, and security. The guideline requires that by default, the organizations follows the Qatar's PPL regulations. You need to ensure that by default, it is privacy by design. There is data minimalization and documentation of record of processing. You need to maintain the data quality, provenance, and audit trails across the life cycle, and coordinate with your data governance unit and data protection officer. So what it means is that at any point of time, if you are using your data, right, your own customer data set or your own data set that you have for training any machine learning algorithms within your organization, then you need to have these controls followed. Okay, which is, so first one is that you are using any machine learning algorithm. So training any machine learning algorithms which is unique to your organizations, you need this point. Point number two is that if you have your AI systems linked to your database, like your RAG database or a normal database, and use that particular data for communicating it or for taking any decision, then you need to, these controls will get applied to. Okay, which is basically two areas. One is using your own ML machine learning algorithm for training your ML models or dataset for training your ML models. Second is if your AI systems is linking or taking data from your database or your RAG, etc., then this requirement get applied to. Easy to implement if you are able to capture the ML bill of material, LM or ML bomb part of it. It captures, okay, what data set is being used for training that particular model. It captures whether that particular model is using any live data for a reinforcement learning aspect, right? So ML bomb or an AI bomb also have a component called data set, which captures this information for you to start with. And if yes, your ML algorithms is definitely has your live data from your environment or your customer data environment, then definitely your by default your DLP requirements comes into picture. Your PDP PDPPL requirements come into the picture part. Similarly, you can also use AI observability to observe your tokens so that you can observe whether any of your input to your AI systems, any of your output from those AI systems has this PI information, then it can be identified and it can be triggered part. So you have three ways in which you can ensure that you can meet this particular requirement. Then the next one is part D aspect, which talks about AI PRISM, right? So part D has multiple sub requirements. We just combined it together. So what it covers is that you need to have an AI PRISM in place, right? So AI PRISM is trust, risk, and security management. So the first control there requires you to develop an AI PRISM program with the necessary tool set for content anomaly detection aspect. You need to examine each AI model's attack surface before deployment and to address your findings. Third one is protect the models against any query attacks that may lead to a model manipulation aspect. And the fourth one is definitely have a DLP tool in place to protect any sensitive data loss from happening. How do you go about doing it? From the AI register that you have, you need to ensure that you're able to do a red teaming or pen testing of all your AI systems and AI agents pre-deployment, after deployment, and as well as continuous monitoring. We just mentioned as pre-deployment because as per the Qatar guidelines, it only requires pre-deployment testing, but by the other guidelines and other regulations, with other regulations, it is expected that you do it post-deployment and also able to do a continuous pen testing as well. Why the continuous pen test is that every day there is a new research which is happening on how these AI models can be broken or how these particular AI models can be uh, hacked into, right? So I'm definitely sure that you will heard about the term prompt injection, which is a method by which you can able to break the reasoning or the decision made by your LLM models. So every day there is new set of research which is happening, new methods, new methodologies being identified for just this prompt injection attack only, right? So if you have tested it last month, say if you tested in May 30th, I'm sure that in the last 1 month, SISA itself has identified 10 new attack methodologies for breaking breaking an LLM model part. Now, with that kind of a research is happening, right? You cannot rely that, okay, just doing a one-time pen test, you can ensure that your models are safe and secure. You need to do a continuous Gen AI and AI agent pen testing so that you can able to identify if your model or if your LM firewall or a guardrail is good enough to protect your AI systems. Please note that Central Bank Qatar has QCB has only mentioned a pre-deployment aspect. The second one is definitely you need to have a LLM firewall in place. So in order to protect your models, AI models, you need to have an LLM a firewall in place. Or if you're using any open source LLMs like your DeepSeeks or Quen or Microsoft Phi models, which is open source and been deployed in your environment, you can consider something called as secure fine tuning. So you take that model, you fine tune that model by yourself and deploy it. So in that case, you don't need an LLM firewall in place, right? So that ensures, and definitely you need to have an AI observability because you need to monitor the systems for any kind of security attacks which is happening to your AI systems in play. So that's on the AI PRISM aspects. Now, the other component, the part D also covers is outsourcing and third-party AI risk. So definitely for all your AI systems, most of the AI systems will be from an outsourced entity. So in that case, what does the guideline requires? The guideline requires that there has to be a board approval to outsource any AI-related function. Okay. So your QCB guidelines is very strict, saying that there has to be a board approval before you outsource any AI-related function. Due diligence is being carried out on the provider's capability, expertise, and security. A comprehensive agreement, which is by default your outsourcing security requirements in place, and your contingency plans and ongoing monitoring of outsourced AI quality play. So, which is your normal regulation aspect. But the most important question which you need to able to answer is that what is the bill of material? What is the AI bill of material? What is the ML bill of material which is being used by your third party within your environment, right? So when you're going to outsource any applications, there is going to be two things. One, it will be a SaaS provider like Salesforce or any CRM provider or any SaaS kind of a model part. So those SaaS providers can use an AI systems in their environment and use it for their purposes. The second one is where you have a vendor or an outsourced third party which has deployed a AI system or an application which has an AI system within your environment. So the first one for the SaaS provider, you can definitely go for a agreements and get those details and ensure that the SaaS provider is ISO 42001 certified and other certified compliance to prove their security aspect. But if it is a second case where you have deploying a third-party application which has an AI system in place within your environment, then the responsibility of securing, the responsibility of identifying what all risks that particular AI systems carry comes to that organization, right? So for that, You cannot ask the organizations, your third parties to share the application source code for your review aspect. So the best way is basically ask those third parties to share something called as the Cyclone DX file, right? Which is nothing but a AI bomb, ML bomb details. So Cyclone DX is the default format recommended by OWASP to capture your bomb details. And from the Cyclone DX file, you can upload it into your AI discovery platform, and you can able to ensure that you capture all the AI bomb and ML bomb related details. Why this AI bomb, ML bomb details is required is that if you link to other requirements, the earlier requirements, the foundation, it starts from this AI bomb and ML bomb, right? For every regulation, every requirement that you have to meet, if you don't have that AI bomb, ML bomb details, you will not be able to meet your the regulations and standards part. And definitely you can ask for the audit reports. So one of the right now, the expected or the accepted report in the industry is ISO 42001 report. There is also high trust AI report as well. So as your high trust standard, which is basically the US standard, there is the AI component, which is called high trust AI. So organizations are also complying with that high trust AI to prove to their clients that they have taken the AI security and the best practices in play. Sure. Then part D again continues with monitoring, resilience, and incident response, which says that your guideline says that you need to do continuous monitoring of your AI systems for reliability, drift, and security signals. There has to be operational resilience, which is redundancy, contingency, and incident response. There has to be a AI kill switch to cease use of any deployed AI. And definitely a periodic independent review of your AI, including your providers. So what it means is that you need to have a AI observability solution in play, which is able to capture not the logs, but the tokens which is being used within your application. So in the industry, it is called as instrumentation, where we are able to capture the instrumentation means that there's an SDK which gets incorporated or instrumented within your application code, so that whenever your application is interacting with an AI systems, it is able to capture the input token, reasoning token, and the output token as well. And once you're able to capture these details, then you definitely need to ensure that you need to do a so what is the once you capture details, what kind of monitoring to be done? The first monitoring is definitely a performance monitoring, which is able to identify what is the token being used for every AI use case, or what we call as a system prompts, what is the cost associated with that, what is the latency, and other details which is required to provide the performance details. Second one is security details. So security on if there is any kind of prompt injection attack happening, is there any kind of PI data being transmitted either in the input or in the output by the models, you need able to capture. The third one is a drift, right? So drift means that an AI system has been deployed for a specific purposes, and has it drifted from its uh, perspective. So that is the continuous monitoring of reliability, drift, and security signals aspect. Then from the alert which has been generated by your AI observability tool, you need to have a AI incident response playbook. And one of the action of your AI incident response playbook is to ensure that you can able to kill a AI system. When we use the word kill, it's basically uh, disconnect the permissions, or disconnect the API access, or disconnect the AI system from functioning, right? So that kill switch in deployment terms, it will be linking back to your LLM firewall or linking back to your identity management system to terminate that particular AI system's working aspect, right? And definitely you need to do periodic AI audit review. which they mentioned the word periodic, so it can be annual or earlier as well. Sure. So moving ahead, slide. Sure. The part F, which is the final standard of for the final section of the uh, guidelines, which requires that you need to ensure that you are linked or aligned with all other national, which is the all other Qatar national and global frameworks, which states that you align with the third financial sector strategy and fintech strategy guidelines by the Qatar QCB guidelines. You definitely should complement the PDPPL, QCB data handling and cloud computing regulations, right? Sits along with NSCA secure AI guidance and MCAT ethical AI principle aspect. So it's basically echoes mainly from the UAE Act principles, your NIST AIRMF and ISO 42001 standard. So basically, it's mapping your controls with the existing controls, and if the existing standards has a more set of controls, then by default, those controls has to be applied for your AI systems. And ensure that with your AI estate, with your testing and your observability, you can able to share your evidences back to showcase that your AI systems is meeting these regulations and guidelines aspect. Sure. So like we discussed, right, what is the two roadblocks that which most of the clients hit is first one is the AI discovery, right? Because you need to have a complete view of your AI estate, which includes your own application code, any application or AI system deployed by your third parties, AI agents which is being used within your production servers, AI agents which has been used by your team, which is your employees, used part of it, any platforms. So there are a lot of autonomous or not autonomous platforms for automating your workflows like NA10, Zapier, etc. So a lot of those platforms which is required, which can be used for automating your workflows. So you need to be able to capture those platforms as well, because that platforms will be having access to your data and will be talking to your AI systems. So you need that particular platform details also to be captured apart. And definitely you will have your users having say chat your cloud desktops or browser extensions, etc., which will be used for not just for them to communicate, but those particular uh, say the cloud desktops or AI systems can be linked to your data set, right? So we have an option of connecting to your Auth365, to your G Suite and everything, and able to get your data set as well. So you need to have that particular visibility, saying that which are uh, users agents has connecting to your data set for and taking the data. So when you do an AI discovery, your AI discovery covers all these components. It's just not limited to what your application is using. So that's the biggest challenge in AI discovery aspect. And the other one is AI observability, which you need to monitor aspect. In AI observability, one of the biggest challenge is that you cannot use your existing SIM for observability aspect, because your existing SIM does it on application logs, while for AI observability, you need to capture at the token level, right? So it's not capturing the logs. Your AI observability is not capturing your AI system application logs. There is a total difference there. Whereas your AI observability is about capturing the tokens which has been sent from your application, which includes doing instrumentation at the code level aspect. Then only you can able to match your performance, your drift, and your security aspect. Just capturing the application logs and exporting into existing SIM is not a observability which is required by these guidelines part. And these two is one of the basic two requirements, roadblocks every organization is hitting when they are implementing not only just CB, the QCB guidelines, but also any other regulations and standards aspect. Sure. So coming back, we do have our own solution called PRISM, which is a complete AI security and governance platform, which you can use it for your discovery, your pen testing, your observe part of it, your ML scanning aspects, multiple areas. So if you're interested, we can definitely have a schedule demo and we can share the details with you. Sure. So with that, we'll just open the forum for questions. So we definitely have the question options. You please type in your questions and we can answer it.
Renju, we have one questions.
Sure. So the first question is basically on for a payment application that automates payments on behalf of the customer, how human in the loop comes into picture. Does that mean the payment application may not get QCB approval? Well, that's a very valid question. So as per the agent commerce which comes into picture for automating the payments aspect, that needs to be clarified by the central bank. Unfortunately, we are just going by the guidelines is high level aspect right now. It has not detailed out or given examples on what is possible and what is not possible. It has not given right now. So we are not in a position to answer that. So if you go by the high level guidelines, yes, because it by default falls under the high risk system. A human in the loop approval is required. But considering the entire workflow, automation, and everything, does it make sense? Answer, we don't know.
Since we have time, if anybody has any questions. Also, there's a poll that the team has shared. Request everyone to please fill that. Share your feedback with us.
Let us know if we have any other questions.
Those are the questions. Thank you for sure. If there's no other further questions, thank you for joining the webinar. And if you need any more details or any more clarifications, you can always reach out to us. My colleague Himanshu is managing the entire Qatar market, and if possible, we can visit your organizations. And what we usually do is that for most of the organizations, they would like to have a AI security briefing sessions scheduled, which so that they can be able to discuss their AI systems and what should be their roadmap in going and implementing their AI governance and AI security guidelines aspect. So we do have those AI security briefing sessions where it's just for the organization, and the organization can definitely give divulge more details and get more consultative approach aspect. So if required, we can also do that. Please reach out to us, and we are there to help you in all the forms that's possible. So with that's thank you from our side.
Thank you.
Thanks, Renju.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone for joining the session. One more request, please fill the feedback and poll questions before you sign off.
Thank you.